Hey everybody, welcome back to another JBoz gaming video. This is your host JBoz, and today this is where rubber meets the road. This is where the meat is on the bone. We are going to talk about the Battle HUD and actually witness in-game play. So let's get into it. I'm gonna actually start a pre-made video that I did, just walking us through the Battle HUD. So the first thing we do is we're going to drive into the World War II game mode. We're going to go into the garage, and in our carousel, we've filtered some tanks. We're gonna select one of those tanks, the M5A1 Stuart. We're going to take him into the battle queue, and that will appear here in just a moment. So there, it's taken us from the garage into the battle queue. It took us actually straight in to a game. So at the beginning here, we have some help screens that appear. There is a mini map setting help tip. You can scroll through these at the beginning of a battle, but the important thing to note here is it does tell you the map and it tells you what type of battle you're entering. So we're going to be on Abbey, and you can kind of tell by the pictures too. Which once you've played enough of these maps, you'll kind of know by the picture what you're going to play. But then the type of mode that you'll be in is going to be displayed down here. And in standard battle mode, that's where each opposing team has a cap, and if you capture that cap, you win the game. Or you can eliminate all of the enemy team to win the game, but that's the standard battle mode. And so we're going to go ahead and let the video play here a little bit more as I kind of scroll through the different help tabs here at the beginning of the game and let you see what they're all about. So the first one is equipment. I don't know if I might have already paged through those, so that's okay. But you can kind of, as you start each game, you're going to get some help tips. Kind of look through them. Some of them are helpful, to read. Other things you might already know. But as you're waiting for the battle to get started, it's always good to take a look. All right, once you load into the game, let me pause this here for a second. Once you load into the game, there's quite a few things to note. The battle HUD, in my case, I have the mini map at the lower right as default. You can change that, of course, during the battle, and you can see my video on settings how to permanently default this to where you want it. It can either be up in this corner or in this corner. In this case, I like it down in the lower right corner. The other thing that you'll see right away as you load into the game is your tank. You'll see the name of your tank, the health bar of your tank, the hit points that you've got, and how many you still remain. You will see the tier of the tank. You'll see the speed of the tank. Currently, I'm sitting still, so it's 0 kilometers per hour. And then you'll also see an icon of your tank. And as you take damage to modules, you'll see those modules light up and appear here. Also, in the heads-up display, there's many other things to note. One is it tells you right up front you've got 14 seconds before the game starts. It also shows, basically what the game mode is: capture the enemy base or destroy all enemies or all enemy vehicles. So it's a standard World War II multiplayer game mode on Abbey. It also shows it's a 15 on 15 battle, and it shows the categories of tanks that you are going to fight against. So we have a heavy on the green team. My friendlies are green. That's again a default. There's you can change that in the settings. We have a heavy, 3 mediums, a bunch of light tanks, and then a tank destroyer. They have 4 medium tanks, a bunch of light tanks, 2 tank destroyers, and an artillery. So notice one team has an artillery, the other team does not. So that's quickly something you can note right away. As soon as you load into the game, all of this information is thrown at you, which is kind of neat, but also can be overwhelming. The other thing that you have at the bottom of the screen is your ammo. And we talked about in a video that I did for settings how to change that ammo, and that's a A button, and it basically scrolls through your ammo. Each time you hit the A button, it switches ammo types, and it goes through there and just wraps around. When you get to the last one, it goes to the first one. It will also show you how many shells in each type of ammo you have left and down here at the bottom of the screen. It will also kind of, so it's more clear, the ammo that you have potentially selected, no, the ammo that is currently selected will appear here in the middle of the screen saying AP is selected. It has 30 shells, just in case you can't quickly identify what is actually currently selected. The other thing that's listed down here is your consumables. In this case, I have a repair kit and a med kit on this tank in the first and second slots. See my video on consumables to talk about how to select these, and also a little tip there on how to place these in the predictable, I would say, consumable slots. And then we have our mini map, and man, there's a lot to talk about with our mini map. We can see all of our greenies right now, our teammates, our allies, and where they're located on the map. We can also see a certain distance. This little cone is in front of my tank, which is the little arrow on the mini map. I know it's maybe hard to see. I can zoom in, but on this mini map, there is a lot of information being conveyed. So there's a little white line right here, if you can see it crossing that cone, and it circles our tank. It circles our tank. And that is the point in which we get spotted. That is the point in which we get spotted. And so this is the point in which we can see tanks. If they come in this cone, right, this lit cone, then we can spot tanks. At this point, they can spot us. So if they get this close to us, they can spot us, okay? So we want to recognize that and make sure that tanks don't get inside of this line. Now, in my video where I was talking about crew skills, I believe, I talked about a specific skill called muzzled shot. And I was mentioning in that video that when you fire your gun, you have more of a chance to get spotted. So the range in which you can be spotted increases. And also I talked about that in the detailed stats screen when we went over that in a separate video. But we'll notice in the battle, when I fire my gun, this little white line kind of blooms out closer to where, and maybe even past where I can spot tanks. So we'll have to keep our eye on that, because as we fire our gun, we expose ourselves to being seen. And so that's, quickly the mini map. It's just, there's so much information here. It shows where our cap is right here. It's hard to see because we got all our friendly allies on the cap at the moment. And it shows where their enemy cap is. So it's not hidden right away. You can see where the enemy's cap is at the start of the battle, okay? What you can't see is where are our enemies, right? The other thing that I want to point out about the mini-map is maybe you're chatting in-game with folks and you want to give a location verbally. Use the grid system. So when I say, hey, there's a light tank in, let's say, B2, that means there's a tank in this square. Or watch the 2 line. The 2 line means watch this particular area of the map, because there might be enemy traversing down this particular side of the map. Or the 8 line, the enemy might be on the 8 line. So you can say specifically, or you can say, kind of column or row, like, oh, I bet they're all camping on the A line, or, so generally when you're communicating, you communicate location by the minimap, and you communicate based on a grid system. So the grid goes from 1 to basically 0. So there's no 10, it's 0. So it's 1 through 9, and then 0 is on the right side of 9. Why they did that, I don't know, but that's just the way it is. And then it's A through K. So you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Notice there's no I, J, K. So a little funky, but that is the grid system that we do want to communicate by, and so that other people can quickly see, hey, where's he talking, right? And then also on the newer maps, they've given general descriptions for certain areas, and so people are beginning to learn those. You can use those, but most people don't know what they are, so it's less helpful. So try to give grid coordinates if you can. Like, hey, I'm going to move up to F1, or I might stay in position here at J5 or whatever, right? Use that grid system to help communicate in the battle. All right, let's get into this a little bit. I'm gonna let it play here. I'm gonna do future videos where I actually talk over some of the screens. Actually, let me pause this and back up just a little bit. I want you to see the player list and the map, so that we can kind of talk through that in just a bit, and kind of share some future videos that I'm going to do around gameplay. So here I've hit the double window button. Again, I talk about this in settings. It brings up the big map, which again, the big map has like these general areas that have been kind of labeled, like the bell tower and the fire tower and the grand balisca and the vineyard and the lavender fields and all this, right? You can use these, and I know some people do, but in general, it's just better to use the grid system, because these are somewhat new, and people don't always know where the hilltop barn is, right? And some people, especially old school people, have already named these areas. So, like my clan and most of the platoons, I do, the castle is what we call this thing. Yeah, hey, they're in the middle of the castle. So we don't use Grand Balisca. So, use your best judgment. But if I can advise, please be specific about grid coordinates. Those are more helpful than just general area names. All right. Also, when we bring up this screen, there's some really good information here. We can see not only the tanks listed on each side now specifically, but we can also see the tiers, right? So yeah, before we could see those icons up above, but now we can see what each tier we can see obviously the type of tank it is, but we could see that from the main screen. But here now we can see, that heavy that's on our team is actually a tier 4 PZB2, right? So we now know what specific tank that is. I'm going to make a video for you guys that talks about battle assessment and the progression, what I call threat progression. We go through a threat analysis at the beginning of every battle, at least I do, and that helps me become a better player. It helps me helps identify my opponents, helps me focus on the strategy that I'm going to take on this map against these specific tanks. And so I'm going to do a separate video on that. But this video is more about, hey, here's the battle HUD, here's all the screens involved, here's where all this information is, so that when I get to that video, it'll be more about strategy and less about, here's where you see this particular icon or what this icon means, right? So let's get into this. So we also can hide, if you will, the larger map by hitting the left bumper, which basically both shows and hides it. So it's already shown. So if we hit the left bumper, it will actually hide the map again. So I'm sorry, I said that wrong. If you hit the right bumper, it's going to show the players. If you hit the left bumper, it's going to show the map. The map is already shown, so we want to hit the right bumper here, and that's going to show us our list of players. And I do that here for you in the video. So we're going to let this play a minute. There we go. I hit it, and now the map is hidden, and now it even brings up even more information about each team. And the reason this is helpful when I go through threat progression is now we not only see the type of tank, the tier of the tank, and the tank itself, we now know the player tag. We also know if this player, excuse me, this player is in a clan, because a clan name will be the clan name will be right before the tag name, and this is the abbreviation for the clan that's represented here. And then it will also show whether it's an Xbox player that doesn't have any icon designation or a PlayStation player by the little computer icon. This is PlayStation. This is Xbox. And so, because I'm playing on an Xbox, that's why it's represented this way. The other thing that it just doesn't happen to occur in this battle, but you will also see which players are platooned, which tells you which tanks are platooned. And we'll get into that in the other video I'm going to do around threat progression and talk about that a little more in detail. But there's a lot of information on this, and you have to absorb this very quickly because the battle is about ready to start. We're down to 4 seconds, and here we go. I kind of bring that up again just so I make sure I get it. As we take up position here, I'm going to go to the left and get position on what's called the 4 line. The 4 line is overlooking the main road through what I refer to as the castle. And I kind of get behind the bush, and I kind of get my position to hold this line, right? As I'm doing this, you can hear things happening in the background, like you heard a beep or boop, and that's where we've begun to spot tanks. Notice that I'm using my cursor, even though I can't hit these tanks, they're well beyond my range, well behind the castle, but I'm still looking at the type of tanks they are, so I know where the specific tanks are on the battlefield. So I'm using my cursor to garner even more information about where the enemy is. Not just that the symbol has appeared in my mini-map and I know where the tank is, but now I know what tank is where because it's been spotted, right? Now I see them coming up. I quickly snap. Now notice that was something else we talked about in the settings. We talked about auto lock. Some people don't know about auto lock. And notice what I did. I hit auto lock and I quickly snapped my cursor onto that tank so I could then go into zoom mode. And now in zoom mode, I'm trying to land shots on that tank. So that's how you use auto lock effectively in a battle, is to snap to it. You can snap to it and fire, and you will just shoot the mid-mass of that tank. That's okay. Or you can snap to it and then also zoom in and begin to place your cursor exactly where you want to hit them. Notice that there's a few that now that have moved up, I land that shot. If I had auto locked on that tank, it would have shot into the ground. I would have locked on the tank, but because of where my cursor would have been placed, it would not have hit that tank. And so now they're blind firing. I'm not spotted. My light bulb has not gone off. They're blind firing into that bush because they know. Look, I blind fire back at them and land a shot. So this is all good gameplay, and you're beginning to see how all the information we talked about in previous videos are kind of coming together. I'm still not spotted. I still don't have a light bulb going off. Now they know I'm here. They know somebody's here because somebody keeps shooting them from this dang bush. So that's why they keep blind firing into the bush. But notice, I don't just sit behind the bush. I move out of the way. I reposition behind a different bush. I'm constantly moving my tank, repositioning so that I'm taking away any advantage or any information they thought they had, and I'm changing my gameplay accordingly. I pull up on the hill, try to get a spot on that light tank on the 7 line. Can't do it, so I back down. I keep my focus on these folks in the city here on the 4 line, still holding my line for my team. I begin to shoot here a tank destroyer that's come up on the main road. Now, we've just tied the game again. We're at, and we just went down a tank. So it's 5-5 currently. So that means there's 5 left on our team and 5 left on their team. Oh, they killed one of ours, so it's now down to 4-5. And again, I noticed that on the mini-map, there's a light tank moving up on the 7 line. And it's going to come around towards our cap. So notice I turn to meet him, and as soon as I do, I want to snap to him, and then I want to move my cursor, because he's going to continue to move, right? So instead of keeping it locked, I move my cursor forward, I hit the darn debris in the middle, but then I reposition again and lead that shot so I can hit that tank. That's, again, another good example of how to use that auto lock to quickly lock on, but you can't use auto lock to fire because you'll miss the tank. So that's a great example of that in action in the gameplay. A perfect example. And so here we know we're now up 4-2, so I can get out of position. I can go start. I can hunt the remaining enemy, and so I'm gonna proceed up and through the 4 line here of the castle and try to locate these other enemies. Also in the battle HUD here, I wanna point out that there's some more information available to me, and you can turn this on. I discussed this in the settings video that I've done, but there's up here in the upper right hand corner there is additional information, and these icons are what appear when you turn on additional information in your settings. You can see that I have 705 direct damage in this game, and I've blocked 150 damage. There's also another icon for assisted damage. Unfortunately, I don't have any assisted damage right now, so that is not shown up here. But sometimes you'll see 3 numbers. You'll see direct fire, you'll see blocked damage, and you'll see assisted damage up here. This is real nice information to have during play. The other thing that you will see is in your battle HUD as you go along is the tanks that you're actually targeting. So the tank that you're targeting it appears here. Now, Pedro is on my team. It's a Stug 3B that I currently have my cursor facing. Normally, obviously, even if I did, it wouldn't do any damage, but you wouldn't shoot this tank. But it does give you more information about the tank. So if you have an opportunity to look at this, you will start to learn that, certain tanks have certain hit points. You'll start to see certain modules damaged on certain tanks and so on. You'll also see that it's a tank destroyer and that it's a certain tier. So this is how you can kind of see in game, what that tank is that you're pointing at. Maybe it's a tank that's higher tier. Maybe it's in this case I'm in a tier 4. So let's say it's a tier 5 heavy, and for some reason I'm using standard shells and I can't pin that guy. Well, then I won't bother to take a shot. I'll move my cursor to another tank and see if I can pin him. So this information is always very, very good in the battle HUD. Also, keep your eye on this this here. As I'm moving, this is a little larger than when I'm sitting still, and that's because my still concealment is better than my moving concealment. And also when I fire on the move, well, then that's even worse, right? Because we already know that this blooms out when you fire your gun and you don't maybe have a muffled shot skill, and that it will help you reduce how much this blooms out. All right, so let's continue. There's 2 tanks left. We are up. It's 4-2. You can see that they have a medium and a artillery left. Sometimes at this point, I didn't in this video, but sometimes I'll hit the double window button before I move just to see what specific types of tanks are left. I don't know off the top of my head what was left here. I think we find out as I come over the main road here in the castle. And sure enough, there is an artillery behind the hill. I don't have a shot on him, and they take him out anyway. So I quickly start looking for the medium, and there it is. He appears to my right, and he tracks me. But instead of repairing the track, I just land one shot into him, and my teammates take him out. So that is a really, really good example of gameplay and all the information that we talked about kind of coming together, and that's pretty neat that you got to see that. Okay, so at the end of a battle, there's a kind of leaderboard that is shown. Let me hop back to that real quick. Actually, let me see if I get to that. Yeah. So here, the leaderboard just shows who finished first, second, and third. Sometimes even the enemy team gets a player that has done so well that they appear on this leaderboard. This is neat, but if you have the thing I wanted to point out here is if you have a 3D commander, this is where he or she appears as well as in your background of your garage. So It's kind of neat that you can see the tank in the background and your commander there up front. If you have 2D commanders, they don't appear here. It's only 3D commanders that appear on this screen. On the leaderboard cut screen, it does give you some information, the number of kills, the number of direct damage, and the overall experience you had. And it tells you the type and name of the tank that you were driving and the place that you had gotten. So that's pretty much it for the leaderboard cut screen. And then as we go into the post-battle screens, there's a lot of information to really glean from all of these screens. The first screen is just the main in-battle screen. It tells you, obviously, the tank and the commander. It shows, the map that you were on, the game mode that you were playing in, the type of battle that it was, and it also shows you your battle duration. So how long did that battle take? And you can kind of see that up in the top portion of the end battle screen. There are 3 options on this screen that you can tab to see. That's personal, medals, and scoreboard. We're going to go through all of them, so we'll wait to kind of, but you control that with your left bumper and right bumper. You can tab through these. All right, so the lower left corner here is your experience and silver. You can see that in this battle, I earned 20,973 without premium days turned are available, and with premium days, I earned 30,150. Look at the difference that made, almost 10 grand difference in silver. So having premium is a benefit of this game. If you can afford it, I do encourage you to get premium. Vehicle XP, again, you can see what I would have gotten in standard versus premium, and it's always more, guys. It's always more. Commander, here's the different XP. There's vehicle, free, and then Commander XP. Now, notice that I did earn free XP in this match, so that's good. I did earn vehicle XP in this match, though this vehicle is completely upgraded, so this is basically just additional tank XP that I can't use unless I convert it to free XP. And then the Commander XP is listed here, and that will eventually allow me to upgrade my Commander skills. So, and then over here on the right-hand side, it shows some statistics. In this battle, I destroyed 3 tanks. I did 836 total direct damage. Direct hits, I had 14. I assisted in 0 damage, and I blocked 150 damage, and I had 1 detection. It will also show if you were best in game for this particular match. So that's basically the main battle screen. There are options, and we're going to go through them here in a minute to look at the detailed earnings. We'll drive through that at the end, just so you can get a breakdown of how it came up with all of this information. I will do a separate video on how experience is earned in a battle, to be very, very specific. But right now, we're just going to kind of go through the battle screens and share what they show with you. All right, continuing on. What it does is it actually adds these up different amounts, and kind of it's just a nice animation or graphical animation of the progress that you're making towards, that next upgrade or tank, or potentially that next skill on your commander. All right, so that should be about it, hopefully. Yeah. All right, so we're going to move forward to the next battle screen here, and that's medals. There's different types of medals you can earn. You can learn about different types of medals on your own. You don't need me to show that. I do want to pause it here. This screen is the scoreboard screen. It's the third option in your main or your end of battle screens. And this third option here kind of lists the different teams, who was on those teams, whether they were PlayStation or Xbox players. It shows the clan if they have a clan. What it doesn't show is the whether they were, who they were platooned with, or if they weren't. Unfortunately, that doesn't show that on this screen. I wish it did. You only see that in game or in battle. The other thing that this breaks down is the tank that player was playing. It breaks down the XP that player received, as well as the number of tanks that they destroyed or killed, and then the direct damage that they had done, as well as the assisted damage that they had done. And it shows that for every single player on each of the teams. Our team was fortunate to win, and so we are listed as winners here in the end of the scoreboard battle screen. All right, so there are 2 reports that you can look at the end of each battle, and I do encourage you to look at these reports, especially early on, to really get a sense of how you're doing in the battles. This first one is the performance report, and you can look at this report for every single player in the game, so it's really nice. But just kind of summarizing here, it shows what you did in the battle. It shows 3 enemies killed. It shows that enemies damaged 6, so that means I damaged at least 6 tanks, and I did direct damage of 836. Again, no assisted damage, either tracks or spotting. So here's where it starts to break down how much assisted damage and in what type you did, whether it was spotting or tracks. So that's kind of nice. And then it does show that I did detect 1 enemy. It shows that I blocked 150 damage, and I received 7 hits. I hit, or here's what I did to the enemy team, right? Shots fired, I shot 20 times. I penetrated 14 out of the 20 shots, and 3 of those were critical hits. And so pretty good there. Additional stats, I earned 3 medals, and I had no base capture points. So that's the kind of performance report that you can get at the end of a game to summarize how well you did. Now, a lot of this is also on that first screen, but there's just a little more detail here, which is a little nicer to give you that, more specific types of damage, and knowing that you are getting better at tracking or assisting in spot damage. You also have an efficiency report. This report is, you can only get this report on you. Sorry, I need to pause it. And what this does is just show by tank what you did to them, right? So here, and I can't say that name, but on the Su-85B, it's a Tier 4 tank. It was destroyed. I did have 1 pinning shot. I did 66 damage to this tank. And let's see, is there anything else? I didn't really do anything else to this tank, so there's not much more to say, but this is one of the tanks that I did damage. And then as we kind of let this go on here, we have this gentleman. I won't even begin to try to do tag names. But you destroyed this enemy. We pinned 1 shot. We did 61 damage to this enemy. He critical hits. He was destroyed. And so you can kind of see who you actually killed in the battle through this efficiency report screen. And then we won't drive through every tank that I think there were 6 of them. So we won't drive through every single tank, but you get the sense of the kind of information that can be gleaned from these reports is very, very helpful. And you can start to see, hey, what am I more effective against versus what am I struggling against, to really help you there. All right, then we go back to the main end of battle screen, and we drive into, with the A button, detailed breakdown of what we earned. And there's several columns in this screen. The first column is the silver. The second column is the tank XP. The third is the commander XP. The fourth is the free XP, and then ultimately any gold earnings. Okay, so we know we did a total earn of 30,150 silver, which is good. But how did that break down? Well, let's take a look. Because we had a base earnings of 18,353 silver, that set us up for success, right? Then we also had a premium account. What that means is premium days. That added 9,177. If you go and do the math, it should be about 50% of this number. because that's what premium gives you, right? So that starts to add up, right? We're already at 27 some thousand there. Then challenges, because we were able to complete some challenges and do some things towards the progress of those challenges in this match, we earned silver. So we earned 6,883 in silver. So if you total that up, it totals to more than 30,150, right? Sure it does. But we have some costs, and it shows you what costs you silver in the battle. Well, I had consumables. I had 2 consumables on here for 1,600, and those you get charged for those, and so that cost me 1,600. Your resupply of ammunition. So I did not shoot premium ammo. I don't think I did, but anyway, we only spent 720 silver to resupply our ammo. And then we had repairs because we did take damage to our tank. We got to repair our tank, and that was 1,944. When you subtract the cost from the earnings, you get a total profit of 30,150 silver. So pretty good game for a tier 4 tank, earning about 30K. And then, of course, the breakdown for tank XP. We had our tank XP base at 719. Our daily XP bonus. So this is the first time we played this tank. And remember when in a previous video, when I talked about that red or that right side of that tank card on the carousel, and it has a plus 100% to it, then we got a daily bonus of 1,079 because this was the first time we played our tank in a match, in this tank in a match in a day. So we got a daily XP bonus. And then we also were running premium account, which again is 50% of our base. So we got another 360 tank XP. And then we got some XP based on the challenges that we were able to make progress to or complete. So that totaled to 2,428 tank XP. Now, if this tank had upgrades that we were working towards, then we would have worked towards an upgrade, and these XP could be used to unlock that upgrade or potentially the next tank in the tech tree. Unfortunately, this tank is fully upgraded, and I already have researched the next tank in the tech tree. So this 2,428 just gets added to the tank, and it just accumulates until I'm willing to convert it into something else. And you have to pay gold to do that, so it'll probably sit here forever. Moving on to the next category, it's Commander XP, and this breaks down your Commander XP earnings. You had a base of 719 for Commander XP. Again, a daily bonus of 1,079. A premium account, which added an additional 360. Because the tank is elite, it earned an additional Commander bonus of 876. We did earn some Commander XP from challenges of 540, and then we had additional earnings of 1,292. So our Commander really earned 4,866 XP in this battle. I am getting close to maxing this Commander out. I think I'm working on my 8th skill or 7th skill. I can't remember. But this all goes towards that next skill that you need for that commander. And so having that commander in a tank is very, very vital to continuing to progress in his skills. So all right, so free XP is the next category, and I earned base 35, daily XP bonus was 53, and the premium account was 18, so I only earned 106. But this is a standard tech tree tank, so it doesn't earn a lot of free XP. So that's pretty expected that it would be low like this, but that's okay. We got some, and that's that's good. It accumulates over time, and I can use free XP again to research additional tanks, or I can use free XP to actually advance my upgrades on tanks that I'm working on, or I can use free XP to advance my skill advancement or gain for commanders. So free XP is very versatile, very usable, and you want to let that accumulate so you can use it when you need it. I didn't earn any additional gold in this battle specifically, and you typically don't. Unless there's a special earn up or something like that, you're not going to earn gold this way. Gold is real money, and you usually have to purchase that with real dollars. Okay, so moving on. A good breakdown of the in-battle screens, and we kind of finished out this particular video with me going and actually showing you, though we did cover in a separate video, the profile screen subscreen off the main garage screen. I do show you that you can actually see this video, or I'm sorry, this battle appear in the log. Once we get back into the main garage screen, we're going to go to the profile subscreen, and I'm just going to show you in the log that that battle did get captured and is recorded, and you can actually go back to these screens. As you come back to your garage, you know, all those challenges that we got ops for and completed, we get different rewards, and it just kind of shows you those as you come back. I like to see them, so I go through them one at a time. You can skip all of those if you want. But the bottom line is you can go to the profile, go to your log, drill into the last battle that you fought, and obviously it's the battle we just reviewed. All right. I think that will do it for this video. We covered a lot in this video. The battle HUD, there's a lot going on there. I will do future videos continuing to discuss the battle HUD at a quick glance. You know, we saw it, and you know, we didn't talk a lot about the reticle specifically, changing colors and that sort of thing. We did kind of tie in some of the things we talked about in previous videos, like auto locking and things like that, and a little bit of strategy and watching that mini map and kind of seeing where folks are, how to communicate using that mini map, and on and on and on. We just covered a lot of stuff in this video. So we'll continue to do videos like this where I kind of break things down and show you some examples of things that are happening. But as I get into more advanced videos, I will probably start talking about more of the strategy and less about like, oh, see the reticle turn from white to red there, and that's when I fired. That is for these basic training videos. When I get into the more strategy discussion, it's going to be about strategy. I'm going to make the assumption that if you're watching future videos in a playlist that's for more advanced players, that you have these fundamentals under your belt, and you don't need me to tell you that I switch to you know, a particular ammo by using the A button. Now I'll probably tell you, hey, I'm gonna load HE here, and I'm gonna fire it at this guy's rear because one, I have a better chance of pinning. It's gonna do a lot of damage, and I'm probably gonna set him on fire. You know, I'll tell you that stuff, but I'm not gonna tell you I'm using the A button to switch ammo, right? That's what this whole playlist has been about, and this series has been about. So thank you if you watched the whole playlist. Thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate your time, of course. And if there is something I miss or some future video you want to see, please leave a comment. I really appreciate the feedback. Hit that like button if this has been helpful. Hit that subscribe button to follow the channel, and hit that ring that bell, or hit that bell button so you can see when I post future videos. As always, thanks again. Appreciate your time. We'll see you in the next one.